how good is it to be back, and how tough was it for you when you weren't able to contribute because you're such a baller out there?
God, it's been really difficult. Just it's one of those things where, like I said, I gave up a year to come here, and you always expect there's nothing's going to go wrong when you have one season left. And especially when you look forward to such big games as Tennessee, LSU, those are two of the biggest games I had circled on the calendar that I really wanted to be a part of. The Tennessee-Alabama rivalry, LSU, throughout the past years had been the dominant team in the West, and it's sort of where you have to go through LSU to win the West championship. And, those were two big games that I had circled, and just to have that sort of freak accident happen, you sort of ask yourself why. But in the end of the day, I just sort of realized that things happen for a reason, and you can either pout about it, or I could either use it and saying, hey, I got 2 weeks rest now, so when I do come back, I'll be healthier than other people. But, it's difficult, but at the same time, that's football.
All right, what was the biggest rivalry around your house growing up in Northeast Florida?
Got to be Florida, Georgia, probably. Florida, Georgia, Florida State. I mean, my whole family, like you said, went to Florida, so and you have, what is it, the world's largest cocktail party right there in Jacksonville. So, it's funny because I go home for my bye week, and, all my family's like, hey, we're going to the Florida-Georgia game, come along. So I was like, told all my friends, I was like, I'm using it to scout, so don't think I was like going there to cheer for another team. But, I mean, that's just what I grew up in. And like I said, they asked me, what's the significance of this rivalry? And it's funny because if I grew up in the state of Alabama, this would be the biggest thing in the world to me. But because I didn't, it doesn't have that same significance or impact that it may hit other people. I see this as a huge game just since I've been here. So many people talk about, Alabama-Auburn, the rivalry and all that, and the Iron Bowl. But, like I said, when you grow up in another state, you really don't go to high school with all these kids. And I think that's the biggest thing is a lot of these kids, they competed for scholarships. They both decided to go to different schools, and you saw each other in the state championship games or playoffs. And that's what I had when I was in Florida battling against other kids. So in that regard, I said, I'm just excited to be a part of this rivalry. And, I got 1 year at it, so hopefully we'll come out on top.
I mean, Georgia Tech,
Georgia Tech was a big rivalry, but it's it's different. I think when I came here, it's just there's so much more history, I feel like, to this. It was clean old-fashioned hate, and it was, Georgia Tech, but it was just like last year, Georgia had been dominating a series. So it sort of lost, when I got to Georgia Tech, it sort of lost some of that prestige to it. But now, here and sort of the roles being reversed within this rivalry, I think it adds a new element. So I'm expecting this to be, something even bigger. And the funny thing is I'm ending my regular season game at Auburn. In my first game at Georgia Tech, I played at Auburn. So it's just sort of, I guess, parallels in my playing career that are just a little weird.
One more question. Auburn's got Ben Tate, but how much more effective does it make your offense to have a guy coming off the bench like a Trent Richardson to fill in for Mark Ingram?
Trent Richardson is a phenomenal athlete, and you look at our running back core, and it's sort of tough because you want to have all your running backs get so many touches because they're all so versatile and all so powerful, and they all can do so many different things. But you have Mark Ingram, and he's to me the best running back in the nation. But Trent Richardson is a phenomenal athlete. You see him out there only for bursts, and you see how he just continues to drive a pile when there's 5 people on top of him. He drives them for another 5 yards, or just gets hit, and he just miraculously seems to spin out of it somehow. And I think Trent Richardson is just a phenomenal athlete, and he's going to have a tremendous career by the time it's done. And I'm just happy to have him be a guy when Mark steps off the field. You would think you lose some of that star power so he could get a breather, but really you gain just as much when Trent Richardson comes in a game. And I think that's just a testament to the type of kid he is, and he works so hard at it. And I think that's something that also makes him such a good athlete.